Hello. I'm Apricot Amber Stott, and I am the Chief Food Genius at the nonprofit Food Literacy Center, where our mission is to inspire kids to eat their vegetables. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we are going to be cooking one of my very favorite recipes, ranch popcorn. And we're also going to be talking about another one of my favorites, whole grains. So first I want to review our last lesson where we talked about fiber. So who can remember how fiber works in our bodies? It's like a broom, and it helps to sweep out our stomachs, and it helps keep everything clean. So fiber is a really important part of our diet, and it also tastes really good. And hopefully you can remember a couple of the places, the kinds of foods that we get fiber in our diet. One of them is fruits. A second one is vegetables, and another one is whole grains. And when we have fiber, our tummies feel full, and also when our fiber is working and cleaning our stomachs feel good. When we don't have enough fiber, our tummies can feel pinchy and hurty, right? So we want to make sure we get enough fiber in our diets. And fiber comes in all kinds of forms when it comes to whole grains. So one is something very common that you probably eat, pasta. Another that I have here, another one of my favorites, brown rice, and white rice too. Another one is cornmeal. And you probably recognize corn more in this form. This is our popcorn, which we're going to be making in a little bit. And when you see cornmeal, the popcorn seeds or the corn seeds have been crushed to make a cornmeal, and you can bake with that. So grains are really fun and versatile. They come in so many forms, and grains are basically a grass type of seed. And we have a diagram that you can download from our website at foodliteracycenter.org/curriculum. You can find all of our lesson plans, all of our recipes, and in particular, for this lesson, you can find our diagram of a whole grain. And what's really important is the outside part of a grain, and it's called the bran. And you can see it, it's this dark part, and it's what gives us, we can tell the difference sometimes when the bran has been left on a grain. For example, the difference between a brown rice and a white rice. You can see the color on it. It's also full of flavor, and it's very rich with fiber. So we like to find foods that are whole grain foods because it has every one of these parts of the grain that has been left on the food when we cook it. So that is what a whole grain is. And today, we're gonna use one of my favorite whole grains, popcorn, and we're gonna make a special ranch dressing for it, a ranch seasoning. So, all we need, this is so simple. We're gonna take our measuring spoon. I already have all of my spices, and again, you can find our recipe at foodliteracycenter.org/curriculum. And we are gonna use a basic mason jar because the spices will keep for a long time. So if you mix them in their storage container, you have less to clean up afterwards. So we're gonna take our little mason jar. You can use any size jar you want. And we're gonna measure out. So hopefully you have your recipe in front of you and you can read along. And we're gonna measure our ingredients. The first one, it's one of my favorites, dill weed. Just take a smell when you're cooking so that you know what spices you're using before you use them. Now we're gonna need a whole tablespoon of dill because that stuff is delicious and we want a bunch of it in our mixture. So we're gonna put a tablespoon of dill, and we want a tablespoon of nutritional yeast. Now if you've never heard of this before, we're using this because ranch has that really creamy mouthfeel, and we want to make sure, because we're making a dry spice mix, that we still get that feeling and that flavor in our mouth. And nutritional yeast is a seasoning that actually tastes a little bit cheesy and a little bit like dairy, but it's not dairy at all. So it's a fun one to use when you're making something like a ranch flavor. So we're gonna use a whole teaspoon of that, or tablespoon, sorry. And then we want a teaspoon, which is the small one. And now we want a teaspoon of oregano. I have oregano from my very own garden that I'm using today. So I'm gonna pinch the leaves, because when you pinch the leaves of your seasonings, you can actually get more of the flavor out of them if you're using a dry seasoning. So I'm gonna put my oregano in there. I'm gonna put a little pinch more because I like it. And that's the fun about cooking. If you really like something and you want to add a little bit more, it's up to you because you're the chef. Now I'm gonna also add a teaspoon of coriander. And you'll notice that I'm not measuring over my jar, because if I'm pouring and I accidentally spill too much, I'll get too much in my jar. So I want to make sure that I'm measuring over the table or over something else. So I'm going to add my coriander. Then I'm going to also do a teaspoon of garlic powder. Lots of flavor in that. And again, I don't want too much, so I'm not going to pour it over my jar. I'm going to pour it over the table first. Then into my jar. And then I need a 1/4 teaspoon, that's the tiniest one, of white pepper. You could use black pepper too if you don't have white pepper. The reason I like white pepper for this recipe is because we're using it as a seasoning mix. Sometimes the black pepper is so coarse that it doesn't blend throughout as much, but the white pepper is so fine that it's easier to blend in with everything else. So we're gonna do a little bit of white pepper. And then you can add a little bit of salt if you like, as much as you prefer. So I'm just gonna do what's called a pinch. So I'm pinching it and dropping that in there, because I don't want too much. And now we're gonna take our lid, and this is the fun part, you get to shimmy shake. And you can pass this around if you have more than one kid. Let everybody shake 3 times. And oh, look, it's already mixed all up. That's how easy this recipe is. So now we're gonna put this onto our delicious popcorn. I have an amazing tip for you for making popcorn. You can make popcorn in an air popper, which is how I like to make it, but you could also make a small batch in a brown paper bag in your microwave. So what you need is some popcorn kernels, and you need 1 brown paper lunch bag, and it's so simple. You're gonna open that bag, you're gonna take a 1/4 cup, so again, the small measuring cup, and we're gonna measure out a 1/4 cup of popcorn seeds. And those are gonna go into our brown paper bag. And then you're just gonna fold down the very top edge of this. It's gonna go into your microwave for 2 to 2.5 minutes. And you're gonna listen, and when there's 4 seconds with no popping noises, that's when your popcorn is done. So you'll hear a pause between pops. If it's 4 seconds, grab your popcorn out of the microwave, it's done. So just 2 to 2.5 minutes in the microwave, and you will end up with this, a bag of popped popcorn, which I made in my microwave right before I came on the show. So I'm gonna take my bagged microwave popcorn, and I'm gonna take my seasoning that we just mixed up, and I'm probably gonna put, well, actually first I'm gonna put olive oil, because I like a little bit of that olive oil. Oh, I got a new one on my popcorn. So I'm gonna drizzle some olive oil in there, and that's to your taste. And then I'm gonna get a spoonful, probably about almost a tablespoonful for this 1/4 cup that I've popped. And then I'm gonna close up my bag. More shimmy shaking. And now I have ranch popcorn. The other fun fun thing that you can do. First, I gotta taste this because it's my favorite. So delicious. I'm gonna eat all of that. And it's good for me because it's a whole grain. So next, I'm gonna take my same ranch seasoning mix and I am going to stir some of that into sour cream, because you can use this as a dip for veggies, because we've already suggested that kids eat a fruit or vegetable with every snack and meal. So if we're having our delicious popcorn snack, it would also be fun to have a ranch dipping for some sliced veggies. So I'm gonna take about a tablespoon of my ranch mix, and I've probably got about a cup of sour cream, maybe a little less. And I'm just gonna stir that right in. Real simple and so delicious. I remember as a kid, my mom's favorite snack was to stir dill into sour cream, and she would eat it with pretzels. It's a really good snack. So I'm going to make this one. It's got extra seasonings because it's got not only the dill, but all of our other super tasty spices. And we're gonna use it to dip veggies in. So let's slice up a bell pepper. Those are one of my very favorite vegetables. I always keep them on hand. And today I'm gonna show you how to slice a bell pepper. And so again, you can use our kid-friendly plastic knives. You can just Google those and find them online. And you could also use a butter knife if you're a kid. And then also kids, as your parents approve and you get comfortable, only when adult approves it, you also could upgrade to one of these type of knives. They're very easy to use, and I like them for cutting small vegetables, but this is only if an adult approves you to use it. So I'll show you how to use it with the plastic knife. So with a bell pepper, I'm gonna put him on his side. Now he's not rocking and rolling. And I'm gonna cut about 1 inch from the stem, and watch how quick and easy this is when you're cutting a bell pepper. So you're gonna cut down, and here's where the plastic knife is harder than a regular knife because you do get a little bit of that stem. So this now is super easy to pop that stem out. Real simple. And now you've also made it really easy to reach in here and grab out all of the center parts, all this membrane and seeds that you don't eat. Voila. Now you have a very simple, and again, I'm putting him so he's not rocking around. And actually, I have a female bell pepper because it has 4 bumps, and they tend to be sweeter. The male bell pepper, oh, they're both female. The male bell pepper only has 3 bumps. So I actually have a she here. And so we can just slice it down the middle, and then we can make dipping slices like this. So that's how you slice a bell pepper. And now I'm gonna taste it in my ranch because it's gonna be so delicious. I love this stuff. Best snack ever. My ranch popcorn and my ranch dipping sauce. This is gonna be a good day, you guys. Please enjoy these recipes. You can find more on our website at foodliteracycenter.org/curriculum. Thanks for joining me. So good.